Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, of the tribe of Dan, of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, we do not, brothers and sisters, intend for it to be long. This is called From Jerusalem to the Hood, Part 3. For those who've been following for the past couple of times concerning this series of lessons, we started, brothers and sisters, talking about the kingdoms of Israel and what happened as to the fall of the kingdoms of Israel. The northern kingdom in 722 going into captivity. The southern kingdom, say a little over 100 or so years after that of the northern kingdom, in 597 BCE, recorded in the book of 2 Kings chapter 24. Then in, brothers and sisters, 586 BCE, going into captivity with the matter of the Babylonians. And we, brothers and sisters, spoke about what happened with Israel in the world at that time. That is to say, the matter of the Israelites in relation with the other nations, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and so forth. What was happening in that particular time? It stands to the credit, brothers and sisters, of the validity of the scriptures. And it stands, brothers and sisters, to the credit of what happened with the children of Israel. I want to, on a human level, thank you to the people who have subscribed to the channel, who, brothers and sisters, comment, like, and share the particular matter of what we're presenting. Given on a human level, respect to my lady, Sarah Michaela, of the House of Israel, to subscribe to the channel, to comment, like, and share. And brothers and sisters, we're going to ask you to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and take notes. To the recent subscribers on the channel that I see, thank you for that. I am open to constructive criticism. If there are, brothers and sisters, if there are people in the chat who are in good spirits and then able to hear, please type in the number 4. If you are in good spirits and you're able to hear the chat, I'm asking you all to please type in the number 4. Thank you for such. And brothers and sisters, what we are going to do is turn off the camera on me. And there are several reasons why in stating that. One, we already know who the presenter is. Second, brothers and sisters, we need not see the person in order to gain the message. For those who know, Shalom, Sarai, thank you for that. Shalom, FOPE, Civil War. If it's the same family that I think of for our people's edification, who left a comment, you and I think we spoke in the past regarding music and so forth. People don't like if you bought, say, in the 1990s or in the 1980s, a tape or a CD, what they refer to as a mixtape. And so often, the person just keeps on saying their name. We already know who it is. Present your mixes. Present your songs. Present your playlist. You understand? So in this case, what we're going to do is present our PowerPoints. So I'm going to take the camera off of me, brothers and sisters, and asking again, you all to subscribe to the channel, to comment, like, and share. Shah Shem, how you doing, my brother? I remember we were supposed to speak some time ago. My negligence on that, but I'm able to see the comments on the phone. Thank you, family, for participating in such. And let's pull up the PowerPoint. And let us start from the current slide with the slideshow. All righty. And we're going to get into, in this particular case, the matter of the Persians. Because we have discussed already, say, the matter with the Assyrians, Tiglath-Pileser. We discussed the matter with Shalmaneser, Sargon, and Sennacherib. We discussed already the matter with the kingdom of Judah and the Assyrians. And the Assyrians fall into the Babylonians. And the Egyptians in Dynasty 26, their king Necho, who actually assassinated Josiah of Judah, who tried to their best go in and help, but it was to no avail. We spoke about the Israelites in Elephantine, Egypt around this time. The prophet Jeremiah has already been discussed. We have already discussed, brothers and sisters, the matter with Nebuchadnezzar. So what we're going to get into now is a part in history with these couple of slides. And thank you all for taking out the time for such to hear what a brother is presenting. I do not claim to know everything, and I am open to constructive criticism. I can be reached at 908-587-4841. Again, 908-587-4841. I did not have and do not have permission from the family, so I'm going to say it in general. Anyone who recently lost somebody close and near and dear to them, may the Most High be with you all and comfort your souls. Ever so often on my channel, I speak about me losing my mother. And I know that over 19 years, I've still been talking about it. Actually, just this past Yom Rishon, first day, so-called Sunday, that me and my lady did speak upon such. Now, to give a shout out to the brother Shah Shem. How you doing, Ak? From FOPE Civil War. How you doing, my brother? That brother, when I watched the channel, is the one who put me on, unbeknown to him, about the word tapas. When Israelites were going buck wild talking about it is okay to be a RAPIST. It is not okay to be that in the house of Israel. If the Torah is teaching us to not oppress, then how can it possibly be okay to sit there and oppress male or female in a matter of assault? You understand? The Hebrew word for RAPE is the Hebrew root word anas, which means to compel. You understand? So that is what was not supposed to be done in the house of Israel. So I give the brother a shout out for all the history, pardon me, so all the Hebrew our brother studied. I never dealt with the word tapas or the word anas until I watched that brother's channel on FOPE. There's nothing as a demerit to you as a teacher or as a moray to give a credit to where credit is due. And if you are a book author, you best give credit where it's due. It saves you problems. You understand? And it doesn't take nothing away from you. Shout out to the elder. Much respect to the elders. Moses Farrar. Much respect to the elder Rudolph Windsor. Much respect to the elder Kohen Mikael. Much respect to the elder who put the time in. That is to say, Tyrone Webb. So I'm going to name them by saying much respect to Moses Farrar, much respect to Rudolph Windsor, much respect to Tyrone Webb, and much respect to Kohen Mikael. Some I've met in person that I mentioned. I met Moses Farrar. I've met, of course, Kohen Mikael. He's my Hebrew teacher. I've met that's about it of the four people I mentioned. I never met Rudolph Windsor, and I never, as of yet, personally met Tyrone Webb. But their works speak for themselves. See, you don't have to see, like I'll take my picture off. You don't have to see in order for your work to be known. You understand? So let's look at this and get into this. It says the Persians and the Hebrews. In the 6th century BCE, Cyrus defeated the Median king Astyages, and thereby making it one kingdom. All right, so we're talking now in 550 BCE. By that time, the Israelites had not met the Medes and the Persians as a kingdom. You might see the Persians and the Medes and the Persians mentioned in Ezra, mentioned in Esther, mentioned in the book of Daniel. You understand? You might see it as that, but that by then was the time the Israelites had met them. The Medes and the Persians were one kingdom. Now, the Medes come from the Japhite people or Japheth people of Madai. When you read in Chronicles, Japheth's one of his descendants was Madai. That's where the Medes come from. And the Persians come from the people of Elam. Elam is a people of Shem. So, brothers and sisters, this is no disrespect intended to anyone. But if we know good and well you are what your father is, the kingdoms of the Medes and the Persians becoming one empire does not mean that one people absorb the other. Just the same, if you take the credibility of the book of Joshua and it speaks about the people of Esau going and becoming one kingdom and one nation, hypothetically speaking, with the descendants of Kittim. Kittim is a descendant from Japheth. Esau is a descendant from Shem. So just because a people come in to become one empire or one kingdom, you still are your parentage. So we want to emphasize that for reasonable purposes. All right. And in light of that, it shows you that one tribe cannot be absorbed by another. All right, let's look. The Israelites were commissioned to buy a temple as pointed out in Isaiah 45. And then it began to happen during the era of Zechariah and Haggai, who were prophets during this time. This happened after the Babylonians were defeated by the Persians. So we already see, brothers and sisters, that the Persians were defeated, the Babylonians were defeated by the Persians. You understand? Whether some say it's Nabonidus, whether some say it's Belshazzar, the last king of Babylon that was defeated by Cyrus. We're talking, brothers and sisters, 539, 538 BCE. All right? We want to point something out. How many people here, by those who are able to hear and so on, have, by typing in the number 2, if you will, by typing in the number 2, have you ever heard of what I'm typing in, corregnal dating? That is a question I'm asking. Have anybody, by typing in the number 2, ever, regnal dating. Have anybody heard of that? By typing in the number 2? Because this becomes very, very important for a reason and for edification purposes. Regnal dating is what the Bible uses. It's what Egyptian papyri and this matter of the writings in the Egyptians and so forth. Well, what regnal dating is what the Sumerians used. What it is when a timeline is noted by kings. Why do we think that it says in the reign of such and such began to reign? See, the Bible, being a history book, doesn't do the same thing as the Gregorian calendar or by the matter of BCE or AD, before the Common Era or Anno Domini. You understand? So what the ancient nations did, be they Sumerians, Egyptians, or Hebrews, is they used what today is called regnal dating. And by regnal is speaking of a regent, which is a king, and they time their chronological timeline and calendar based upon the reign of a particular person. So now in the Bible, when it says that Isaiah began to prophesy in the days of Uzziah, Yotam, that is not saying what today is called the beginning in the timing of the 9th century BCE. They didn't say 9th century BCE in Hebrew or English. You understand? When you read about the record of Manetho, of ancient Egypt, it says in the reign of king such and such. It doesn't say that the Hyksos came in the such and such century BCE. So what we're pointing out and what regnal dating is what the Bible, the Sumerian text, the Egyptian text uses as a timeline for counting things. So when people begin to ask, well, if the Bible's a history book, how come there are no dates? It's the same reason why the Papyrus of Egypt doesn't have a date. It's the same reason why the cuneiform records found in Iraq don't have a date. It's because they went according to what today is called regnal dating. All right. Now, in the 6th century BCE, to use it in terms that we're more familiar with, right? Cyrus defeated the Median king and thereby making it one kingdom. So now, brothers and sisters, by the time the Israelites come along and meet up with the Medes and the Persians, they are already one kingdom. Because remember, Assyria fell to Babylon. So now when we have read last time, that's why we ask people to get their pens and their pads and take notes, right? In Jeremiah chapter 50, it says, first the king of Assyria and last is Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon had broken his bones. We went over that in the past on this lesson. So from Assyria to Babylon now, you got the matter, what happened with the Medes and the Persians. So let's go on here and see what happened. Recently, I had to explain that the Israelites were not free as a people during the Persian Empire. The understanding of freedom to the Israelites is independence. The Bible, using regnal dating, shows that Daniel, Ezra, Esther, Haggai, and Zechariah all have a Persian or Median as king. No one of the seed of David as such. Zerubbabel, being a governor, does not qualify one as a king. Now, brothers and sisters, what we're going to get into is a matter of what happened with ancient Israel coming out of the Babylonian captivity. And when you go in your own time and you read the beginning of the book of Zechariah and you read the beginning of the book of Haggai, it mentions Darius. It doesn't mention, brothers and sisters, a king that came up out of the loins of the house of Israel. The seed of David was in the earth and still is in the earth, but not sitting upon the throne. So this is something we want to point out for reasonable purposes. All right? Any questions concerning this? Please feel free to comment. Daniel 7 and Isaiah 21 to let the book speak. And we are reading first out of Daniel or Daniel 7. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And it was said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now, yes, is regnal dating also referred to as regnal year? Yes. Thank you, Love Sarai, for asking that question. Regnal dating is also referred to as a regnal year. Yes, it is. In the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 5, you just read, and behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear. This is talking about, brothers and sisters, the Medo-Persian Empire. Ancient Persia is in modern day Iran. And if you know anything about it, the symbol on the flag was that of the bear. And it raised itself on one side, meaning between the Medes and the Persians, one side was going to be stronger than that of the other. And it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. The 3 ribs in the mouth of the bear represented Lydia, the people that were by as you go toward Asia Minor or Turkey area, Babylon, and Egypt. Because the Persians had conquered, brothers and sisters, the Egyptians, and thus you have now Cambyses and like Darius ruling in Egypt in Dynasty 27. Remember, this is why the timeline we want to point out as important. Last time on this series of lessons called From Jerusalem to the Hood, the Travels of the Sons of Israel, we went over the fact that Necho Bahambre, mentioned in the Bible, in the book of 2 Kings chapter 23, assassinated King Josiah. That was during the time of Egypt's 26th dynasty. When me and my lady was in Egypt in 2021, we seen in the museum the mummy of the pharaoh Siptah, Siptah. He's mentioned in my book, by the way, Egypt Talking Writing. So for those who want to get it, you can get that book online. The name of the book is called Egypt Talking Writing. Now, brothers and sisters, Siptah was in Dynasty 20. That was during the era of the prophet Isaiah. Now, by the time we get to what we're talking about here, Egypt has now been ruled by another people called the Persians in Dynasty 27. So now you got the people of Lydia who were conquered by the Persians. And this is confirmed in what they call secular history. And when you go into the writings of the historian Herodotus, all right, then they also conquered Babylon. So those are the three ribs in the mouth. That's Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. All right. And it was said, thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. Now let's read the scriptures. Isaiah 21. A grievous vision is declared unto me. The treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, O Elam. Besiege, O Media. All the sign thereof have I made to cease. Isaiah 21 is talking about what will happen to Babylon. What does it say? Go up, O Elam. Elam, we already explained, coming from the line of Shem, is known as the Persians. All right? So this is something we want to point out for edification purposes. If I can be heard and the people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Now let's look at this, brothers and sisters, here. All right, with the laser pointer. And what you're seeing here, right, is Yahud. Yod, hey, wow, Dalit, Yahud. That is what, brothers and sisters, Judah in the Bible was called during the Persian era, the Yahud era, the people of Yahud, a province of Persia. So when we say, that about the matter of Israel, Judah were not their own independent kingdoms. They were ruled by the people of the Persians. They were allowed to go back into the land. But that's what we want to point out too as we go along in this. Zechariah chapter 6, to let the book speak. Thus speaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, behold, a man in whose name is the shoot, and who shall shoot up out of his place and build the temple of the Lord. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And there shall be a priest before his throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both. Israel at this time was in a position of being freed or liberated from the yoke of Babylon. The timing of the second temple is that of when the priests were they who were those men who ruled. The kingdom of David was not active as such, yet the Israelite culture under the Levites and they who were of Israel there was upheld. So what are we pointing out, brothers and sisters, is this. This shoot or branch that is talking about is Zerubbabel. We spoke of Zerubbabel earlier. He's mentioned in the book of Haggai. He's mentioned in the book of Zechariah. And brothers and sisters, when you go as stated in your own time and you read about Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the prophet, they start off speaking about kings that were of the Persian people. That's why you read about Darius. You understand? Darius that you read of there is the cousin to Cambyses. Cambyses ruled in Egypt. So these are things we want to point out for edification purposes. All right? And what we read in the first 2 paragraphs is written in the book of Zechariah chapter 6. What we read on here is notes that I put together concerning the subject. Now, what you're seeing there apparently is an owl on the right-hand side. And you have, again, Yahud pointed out there, as was pointed out here. And this is coins and things and artifacts that were found by archaeologists, brothers and sisters, concerning the Israelites. Now, let's look at this right here. I'll leave this up to you because when I was studying upon this image that I'm going to circle, it told me two different answers. But let's look. Here we see a person with what is today referred to as cornrows. Was that from Persia or was that from Yahud? Because when you look, brothers and sisters, at the images with the Persians or the Medes, they don't seem, correct me if I'm wrong, to have their hair braided as such. So if perhaps this is Yahud, then who are the people that are claiming to be Jews who can't do such hair as such? Just a question. Just asking. Brothers and sisters, and giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. Let's continue in this manner. The Persians and the Hebrews, part 2. During this time, the Persians had war and defeated the Lydians, Babylonians, and Egyptians, as pointed out. Egypt's 27th dynasty was that of the Persians, as was the 31st dynasty. The ruler Darius, the cousin of Cambyses, Cambyses being the son of Cyrus, defeated the people of Thrace in Macedonia. This caused the Persian Empire to extend to the west into Europe. What am I pointing out? Do you know this gets later on into what they call 300 with Xerxes and all of that? When you read into the history of such? For those who are into the history of that, this is what we want to point on this channel. And what we're trying to do is show how it relates to the kingdoms of the world. This is about 40 or so slides, and I'm breaking it down to maybe 4 or 5 slides per presentation for reasonable purposes. All right. The much talked about Elephantine papyrus in Egypt, Dynasty 27, was during this time. Cyrus's son Cambyses did rule in Egypt. Cyrus, unlike the other past leaders, did not praise going along with messing up people's nations. The time we're speaking of is that of the Second Temple. This temple is smaller than the temple of the monarchy. So the Second Temple that was built, brothers and sisters, during the timing of starting, say, in Darius and ending off in such by the commission of Cyrus, that temple was smaller than the temple that Solomon had built. Did you know that the temple, to backtrack a little, that Solomon built, called the first temple, if you will, had gold in it? Why do I point that out before another point? Our people were known to what some call today show off, but it's not really, quote, showing off. What it is enjoying the fruits of your labor. See, in this society, when they want you to work 6 days a week, sometimes sadly 7 days a week, and you got to take a day off in order to get some kind of rest. Brothers and sisters, they don't want you to enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's why you find people, every chance they get, they go away. So when we getting back now into this particular matter, Sheshbazzar was a leader who led the Israelites back to the land in the 6th century BCE. That is to say, properly more so in the year 538 BCE. A person named Sheshbazzar did such, and you read about that within the scriptures. The Murashu records speak of the Israelites as traitors during this time. What were the Judeans, and I'm going to type that in. Judeans. What were they doing according to the Marashu records? For those familiar with New York, and I'm sure it's in other states, they were doing what you used to see people in New York doing. Yo, I got the CD. Yo, I got this record right here. Yo, I got this mixtape. They were standing there selling things to people. When you see on the New York City trains about children going back and forth, of our people selling Snickers and candy, that's what the people of Judah were doing in the Persian era, according to the Marashu records. You understand? They were traders, not thieves. See, when you have a society that you know is set up upon wickedness, and I can speak upon New York real quick, you worry about when your judgment's going to come. You don't know when it's going to come. So you hear on the trains in New York, not to bring up something sad, large packs are subject to search by the police department. So if you got a large bag, it's subject to search. What is this, the airport? Please don't praise the people with the trains, because just last week in New York, somebody was murdered. Where were these police that would be confiscating things out your bag, if your bag is large, perhaps? But again, when you do not know when your judgment will come for all the stuff that you have done, you live in fear. Remember Scarface? And Manolo was trying to tell the other guy, 12% of our funds goes to the security. And what did Tony tell Montana? Or what did Tony tell Manolo? Sorry. I don't care. It makes me feel safe. So of all of the revenue that you got in through wickedness, you got to take 12% of it just for your ease of mind. So here you are paying people to search people, planning things on the platforms like a fake wallet. And if somebody picked it up, they sit there and say, you were stealing. So now they caught a collar. They was doing that on the J train by the area, for those who do know New York, Broadway Junction, where the A, the C, the L, and the J train all meet, where you get the bus by the B20 or the B83 or so. They will sit there and plant things there and see if somebody would take it, knowing it doesn't belong to that person, and say, see, you're a thief. You got too much time on your hands. Where were you at when the brother was choked out last week? There's not to get sidetracked from the presentation. But my point in all of that is this. Oppression makes a wise man go mad, is what you read in Ecclesiastes. When you hear about brothers who are murderers, they say it's because they got nothing better to do with their time. A lot of the Bloods, again, they say that if they find something else to do with their time, they would have not been doing or would not be doing what they're doing. What is all of this getting back into concerning this right here? The Israelites during the time of the Persians were united. You understand? So they was able to do trade among themselves. The people in Tulsa, Oklahoma were united, so they was able to do trade among themselves. And if we are Israel to be a light to our people, then we need to do trade among ourselves. Support each other's businesses. Support each other's oils. Support each other's books. Support each other's garments. And like brothers have pointed out, going out there when your own people can do it, like it says in the book of Haggai, going to these other stores when your people got the same products is like getting something with a bag with holes. Because when sisters can say that they pay their rent from what people patronize them with when they make garments around the timing of Passover, that shows you that we can, as a people, make it happen. We just got to be trustworthy and trust one another. We have to earn that trust with each other. And at first, give each other the benefit of a doubt until somebody shows you otherwise. These nations have shown us otherwise on what they think about us. These nations on otherwise have shown you what they think about our children. These nations on otherwise shows you what they think about our women. You understand? And they definitely show you what they think about your elders. You see? So when you find, listening carefully, that Bush over 10 years ago, remember Bush Jr., he said this, that in X amount of years, there will be no Social Security. And in the past 3 or 4 years, this element came out where they was trying to sit there and say a lot of elders died from it. Brothers and sisters, what we are pointing out is that we are each other's most valuable resources. And we need to utilize our own. Don't worry about being called racist. We still got to do what we got to do for our own. Now, getting back into this, you see how the Israelites in the Murashu records were known as traitors? What are we setting down today to be known as? What legacy are we leaving today? This is something to be pointed out. Not just history, but also character. So let's continue in this particular matter. The Persians and the Hebrews, part 3. I returned to these sacred cities on the other side of the Tigris, the sanctuaries which had been in ruins for a long time. I also gathered all of their former inhabitants and returned to them to their habitations. That's a statement by Cyrus. Now that stands to be true even in the scriptures. Cyrus of his own self stated in the Persian record that he returned these sacred cities to on the other side of the Tigris. We know about the Tigris, reading about that in the book of Genesis, the sanctuaries of which have been in ruins for a long time, including that of the Israelites. I also gathered all of their former inhabitants and returned to them their habitations. So the Persians, yeah, they were cruel in certain cases, but in certain cases they were nice. So we just want that to be known for record purposes. The lingua franca, common language of that time too, was Aramaic, the cousin to the Hebrew language. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to take the time out now, all right, and show this upon the camera and then get back into this. This book right here, Basics of Biblical Aramaic. I found this in the crates, almost literally, for those who do know, like my lady know where I got it from. Brothers and sisters, this book right here gets into the lingua franca, or the common language, that, brothers and sisters, was spoken during that time. So you may want to pick up that book, brothers and sisters, for edification purposes. All right, if I can be heard, I want to, again, for my own reason, and shut down the camera, if I may. On my channel, I understand some people have different understandings and rules their channel, but on my channel, I would say I'd rather not be seen. You understand? I'd rather show the pictures in a PowerPoint or so forth. I really don't want to be seen. You know, to be candid in that particular case. I'd rather not to be funny, like I pointed out on the channel. If somebody buys a book, I don't charge shipping and handling. I'd rather you buy the book and then you share it with other people so other people will want to buy it. Not, I'm going to try to get this $3 or $4 shipping and handling. I'd rather you share that you bought a cool book with 3 or 4 people. But personally, for my reasonings, I'd rather shut the camera off and just continue in this vein. But let's continue, brothers and sisters. Cyrus, from 539 to 530. We want to, brothers and sisters, show with the highlighter the dating. Cyrus. And all of these dates are in BCE, before the Common Era. Cambyses, 529 to 522. He actually committed suicide like Nero did some centuries later. 522 to 486. That is Darius the First. Xerxes the First, 486 to 465. Artaxerxes, 465 to 421. Xerxes the Second, 424 to 423. Darius, 423 to 404. And Artaxerxes, 404 to 358 BCE. So just want to point this out for reasonable purposes with the highlighter there. The timing too of this is when Obadiah, Malachi, and Joel is speaking of a not too good Hebrew community, problems from outside and discontent within. Malachi talks about how men treat their wives, you know. Can I be heard? If I can be heard and if everyone's in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Malachi, the prophet, Malachi, meaning my messenger, do you know that he spoke about how men treat their wives? Do you know that in the books of Malachi and Haggai, it talks about like how you offer up that which is lame and sick and just, here, Father, take it. So when you are to bring something to the Most High, you're supposed to bring the best of such. Not just any old thing. That's not good. As we spoke upon in the past Shabbat, commit your works to Yah and your thoughts will be established. Obadiah speaks about Esau and how Esau should have not cut off those of Judah that escaped. Neither, Esau, should you have put your hand on the substance of Jacob. What is the substance of Jacob? The Torah, the menorah, the writings, the records, the land, the language, the people, the culture. The book of Obadiah concerning Esau, it says, you should have not, Esau, put your hands on Jacob's substance. See how Israel, Jacob was told in Deuteronomy to not try to take over the land of Edom and Mount Seir in the book of Deuteronomy, right? Well, Edom, you should have never put your hand on the substance of Jacob. So let's go on. During this time, Zerubbabel was the rebuilder of the temple. Nehemiah was the rebuilder of the walls of Jerusalem, and Ezra was the renewal matter of the covenant. The temple's rebuilding was started in the era of Cyrus, but did not get to be completed until the era of Darius the First. The temple was finished in 516, 515 BCE. Brothers and sisters, in closing out this presentation tonight about the matter with the travels of the sons of Israel from Jerusalem to the hood, we see how they was in Jerusalem, then in Babylon, some take it to Assyria, then some brought into Persia, and then some leaving from Persia and going into the land of Israel. And we want to document what we're talking about from Cyrus's statement before we went over the statement of the Assyrian kings. So this is not something that's point out without citation and sources. All right. Now, Zerubbabel was the son of Shealtiel. Shealtiel was the son of Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was the son of Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim was the son of Josiah, the son of Ammon. Do you see where we're going? So Zerubbabel was of the seed line of David, but did not sit on the throne of David. Jeconiah, also known as Coniah, in Jeremiah 22, it says, this man shall not have of his seed anyone to sit on the throne of David. So when the future kingdom of Israel comes about, it will be of the house of David, but just not through that line of Yekoniah. So Zerubbabel was a governor, a Nagid, if you will, a ruler, but not by anointing a Melech or a king. And this is what we want to point out. Israel, according to Balaam, was not supposed to be reckoned among the nations. So Israel in Deuteronomy 28, you're either going to be the head or the tail. There is no Israelite pardon with another kingdom as one. Either Israel is the king in it or the peasant in it. Once we understand the role of the house of Israel. So, brothers and sisters, I hope this was understood. I hope this was not offensive to anyone. Nonetheless, we want to point something out, and this I say in due respect. I got to ask as many people can because we want to drop something regarding what we talked about with Nehemiah and Ezra and so forth. Can you type in the number 5 if you hear and you in good spirits? Hebrew began to be replaced at a certain point with Aramaic. Aram is the cousins of the Israelites. Hebrew is the cousin to the Aramaic language. In the timing of such, Hebrew and Aramaic shared the same alphabet writing. The writing that you see in Torah scrolls. Well, let me see if I scroll up. Do we see any Hebrew writing in this here? Nope, not so far. This is all one PowerPoint, but we know what it is. All right. What we're pointing out, brothers and sisters, is this. Did you know while Malachi during the same time was talking about how the Israelites, men, were dealing with their wives treacherously and how the Levites did not uphold the covenant that they could and should have? That it also talks about the Israelites marrying foreign women and mentioned in Nehemiah that was one of the sins that Solomon did. Solomon in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, it says Solomon loved many foreign women. In 1 Kings chapter 12, the Israelites were saying Solomon was oppressive. Brothers of Israel, you can't be with women that's not of your people and still love your people. Solomon in one chapter was known for loving foreign women. The next chapter, he was called an oppressor of the Israelites. Sisters, the same. You cannot sit there and deal with a foreign people and still talking about we are a great people. This is not about racism or anything of that sort. This is more so about putting things in its proper context. The sons of Israel, when you read in Nehemiah and Ezra, stated that they will make a covenant to not take foreign women. Are we still obligated by that covenant, ye sons of Israel? Us sons of Israel. Because I don't want people to think I'm trying to exclude myself. And if later on, in the Second Temple era that we read of here, there was not a big thing with idols, like in the First Temple matter. It was more so the people not getting along with each other. That's what broke down Israel in the Second Temple era. Zechariah chapter 7 talks about that. So, brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth. I hope you all are well. I hope you all, brothers and sisters, have a good night. I ask you all to subscribe to the channel. I ask you all to comment, to like, and share. I ask you all, brothers and sisters, to, if you know how to, buy my info, 908-587-4841. My email, YYISRAEL, or by the website, Danite Publications, to get any of the book a brother has. DanitePublications.com. So there's my telephone number, my email, and my website for those who are interested. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. It is becoming a little late over here in the East Coast. People got school, people got work, people got things to do. So I don't want to take up much time, but I do want to say on a human level, I appreciate you all. I appreciate the people who leave comments. And family, let's get it together. Most High be with you. Most High be with us. Shalom. Oh, I must, on a human level, give due respect to my lady Sarai, my biggest promoter on this earth, who encourages, mentally strengthens and stimulates, and makes sure a brother is as good as one can be. I thank the Most High for an ounce of humility to want to learn from the lady that I'm with, to be able to take the wisdom and the counsel and so forth. So, brothers and sisters, let's get it together. Shalom.